Everyone, I hope that you're having a wonderful day. We have been able to complete all 3 of our Vego garden beds. We chose a modular system so that we could choose the best shape for our yard. And so this could be made into 9 different configurations, and I am just pleased so much with the quality that we've seen so far. I'm out here on a pretty warm day. This is not hot to touch. I was very concerned about the heat of the raised metal beds and did a lot of research before we finally landed on this particular company, as well as I wanted to make sure that we would have something that was manufactured in a way and sealed in this compressed nature that we wouldn't have to worry about bulging when we put the weight of the soil in. That's the first priority. The second one is that we would be free from rusting. So I did a lot of research and looked back over 6-8 years of this particular bed. And because I don't want rust getting into the food that I'm growing. And because these are going to be vegetable beds, foods that we'll consume, not just flowers for beauty, I was really concerned. Will there be any leaching? Will there be any breakdown of this material? Will there be any chance of rusting and that getting into contaminating our soil? We were able to make a decision to go with a really high quality soil, to start from the very beginning, to fill our beds with something that we felt like we would be happy to grow our food and take it straight to our table to eat in. So very, very pleased. As you can see, there's bracing, and we could have chosen to put more bracing if over time we feel like we need to brace the sides for the weight. We're going to be putting about 1,500 pounds of soil in here. That's 1 cubic yard, or 1.2 cubic yards. That's a lot of dirt. And as that begins to settle, as it gets wet, you know, there were a lot of considerations that we made before making this choice. So I am super excited. They were easy to put together. I would say once we put the first bed together and we kind of had an idea of how to make it flow, we were able to, within 30 minutes or so, put all the bolts and nuts in. Monty come behind me as quickly as I was putting them in and tightening everything up so that our beds would be sturdy. We were able to get it down to about a 30-minute turnaround to put these together. Now, I don't have to do that every year. We can trust that we can put our forever soil in here, continue to amend it, give it the nutrition that we want into our vegetables, into the produce that we're going to be putting on our table. And so the last piece of this is an extra step that all the other companies do not come to. Now, we're dealing with a metal style of raised bed, and we worried about the edges being rough. Now, I will tell you that on the inside, for sure, where the lip is covered over, it is a little rougher in areas, but not every area. I had very little problems when we were putting it together. I think I got one little injury, and it was my fault. It was reaching in a way that was you know, just indicative of an opportunity for me to get a little cut from a metal bed. But overall, we were very, very pleased with that. But they go the extra mile in providing this rubber gasket stripping, and I'm actually sitting on it, to where we can actually cover this top rail so that if in fact there's wear over time, that we have this stripping that will protect. Our littles help a lot in the garden. Especially my granddaughter Abby loves to get into the garden and help out. And so I was very concerned that we not have rough edges, that there would not be things that could cause them injury, or be somewhere down the road something rusty that could cause a problem. And so my last final step is to be able to put this rubber edging on. Super easy. And they recommended on a warm day to come out, and it's super, super simple to put down. and it is going to take me not nearly, in my mind, I gave myself an amount of time to put this together. But as you can see, with this edging being warm, with the metal having an element of the sun warmth, but not hot, I am not worried at this juncture that in any way that this raised bed will be getting so hot that it would burn my roots. Now, any raised bed, you are going to have to probably water a lot more than if you were in the ground. But here in North Carolina, and especially on the property that we own, it has not been worked to be a garden. For the most part, a lot of the topsoil is gone. A lot of the good dirt has washed down the hill. And you know, the grass is great over the septic tank around on the other side, but ultimately we're dealing with red clay. And so in order to really get soil to the level that we would need to with having to plow and amend and add a lot of amendments, for us, we felt like for our vegetables that our best use of our space would be to raise the bed, work on irrigation, work on a system that we could maybe have to water a little more than we would if perhaps we were dealing with water source that was in the ground. So I'm just excited to share with you. I haven't shared a ton of the process. I've done a lot of video, and again, 30-40 minutes of time putting something together is quite boring, even with a great song. So I decided I would just show you today, and I'll take some screenshots of a little bit of how we think we're going to configure things. This is phase one. I am not even in doubt that we would add another raised bed in our future. I am surely not in doubt that at some point we would leave our beds, make our beds be close enough together or in the right spacing before we ever put the soil down that we would be able to trellis and have hanging fruit like squash and cucumbers, or instead of doing bush beans like I'm going to do this year, that we would have pole beans that we could pick just by walking in between our rows. Now, we are on a grassy area, and so we have made plans to put down landscape covering so that we would not have to, you know, try to plow up or dig up. There is a horticulture kind of process of building your soil in the raised beds. We're not going to go to an extreme with that. We will use a little bit of cardboard to help underneath our landscaping fabric, as well as on top of that, and create some opportunity for some old rotting wood and some sticks and just dying matter. Like we have chips from the trees that we've cut down. We've been able to get those chipped up, and we'll probably use a lot of that to help kind of create a base for future nutrition. But again, we purchased Soil 3, which is made in Georgia. They delivered that directly to our home, and literally we're going to be able to fill the wheelbarrow and come straight to here to fill. I will be using perlite and as well some worm casings. So we will be adding and amending even still this soil to give us the richest opportunity for strong growth for our first year of vegetables in our raised gardens. And it's like anything, right? Last year I started with 4 big 5-gallon buckets and grew my tomatoes. I had 4 different varieties and had a little bit of a learning curve with a kind of worm that particularly loves to eat the tomato foliage away. And so by the time I caught the worm, part of my first plant, the Cherokee black tomatoes that I was planting, you know, they were hindered a little bit, but I was able to actually put up a lot of product from my tomato plants in the 5-gallon buckets. So, you know, as it goes, we all learn by doing, right? And it's the devil's in the details and in the process of learning what works for your space, what the sun is going to give us. We learned last year that the tomatoes loved the sunlight here. and we have a water source right on our house, which is maybe 12, 14 feet away. So we have direct access for easy watering. So we've thought through a lot of the things that we want to make sure that we head off. But I know there's a huge learning curve with anything we do as gardeners. And so I'm looking forward to sharing this journey with you. And if you have any experience with your raised garden beds, certainly we are full sun here from 10 o'clock in the morning down over the trees there for the rest of the day until about really late in the afternoon when the sun begins to set. On the other side of our house, we are in full sun. So I believe we've given these beds every opportunity to be in a happy place where sun, nutrition, water, and a lot of love and care over these beds will hopefully see much fruit from our efforts. But we're going to share the journey, and we're going to share the successes, just like I shared last year, success and learning curves and failures. But we know this is a good, happy place for our vegetable gardens, especially the items that are full sun. And we got a little bit later start than maybe what we had hoped for all the right reasons, and yet here we are right here. As soon as we get past the next couple weeks, these beds are going to be ready and be getting primed. We're able to get a little bit of rain on them to see how they settle, if we need to add more soil, do some testing to see if we do need to add any more amendments to give these little spaces all the light and the love and the care that we can to enjoy them for the days to come. So far, we're very, very pleased with the Vego garden, raised bed gardens. And as I finish this one last duty, I just encourage you to find the thing that you love, spend your energy and your resources and your time outside, be together as a family, and then enjoy the fruits of your labor. Because after all, that's really what gardening is all about. This is phase 1. Phase 2 is going to be down back on the back side of our property where we've already put down plastic to create some rows of flowers that we're going to plant here as soon as our first frost is good and the soil gets good and warm, where the seeds that I've chosen will be happy with the soil temperatures and help them germinate. And so stay tuned, hang on for the ride. Do what makes you happy today, and I hope you have a great afternoon.